BrainWorks is made possible with generous support provided by the Dean Witter Foundation, working to expand innovative K-12 public education initiatives. More at deanwitterfoundation.org.
With additional program support provided by the Dana Foundation, your gateway to responsible information about the brain. More at dana.org.
BrainWorks.
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 BrainWorks. The show
Where we learn
all about the brain.
With me, Naga and the Brain.
In this episode, we'll learn about how exercise affects the brain. Welcome to BrainWorks. My name's Eric Chudler. I'm a neuroscientist in the Department of Bioengineering at the University of Washington. I'm also the executive director of the Center for Sensory Motor Neural Engineering. What all that means is I'm really interested in how the brain works.
Hey, Eric, think fast.
Right back at you, Ben. Hey, Jaden, you want to play?
Sure. Hey, everyone, can I play?
Yeah.
Hey, come on over.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Micah.
Hey, Micah.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Jenna, come on over. Hey, I'm glad you can all make it to the gym today. I wanted to talk to you today about exercise. How does exercise affect you?
Well, when I was just running, I was breathing really hard.
When I ride my scooter, I get tired really fast.
Yeah, exercise does have a powerful effect on your muscles, on your lungs, on your heart. How do we test our bodies to see how exercise affects you?
Let's do some exercise and see how it affects our hearts and our breathing.
Good idea, Jane. We could take some measurements before and after and see how it changed.
Sounds good. I've got some stuff over here to help us test ourselves. Let's go. Come on in, everybody. I've got everything set up in here. Before you start exercising, let's take your blood pressure and your respiration rate so we have something to measure it against after. So just breathe normally for about 1 minute. In and out. That's one breath. Okay? Everybody ready? And go. And stop. Let's test your blood pressure first. Ben, come over here. I'll show you how it works on you.
Cool, I'm the guinea pig.
It's pretty easy to use. All you have to do is slide the cuff above your elbow, get it in place, hold it here, and push the button.
Like this, Eric?
Hey, come on, that's not how it works. Jenna and Pearl, why don't you test Jaden and Micah, and then swap. And Ben, why don't you take their results, okay? Okay, everyone, change places.
All right, got all of them.
Great job, everyone. Now, let's do some exercise. Jenna, you hang out with me here, so you'll be our control subject, so we can compare your data to everyone else's. Micah and Pearl, I want you to shoot hoops for 3 minutes. Jaden and Ben, I want you to run laps, okay?
All right,
Okay.
sounds cool. Let's go.
Come on in, everybody. Great job. Okay, it's now time to count your breaths again. In 1 minute. Ready? Count them starting now. And stop. Now let's take your blood pressure again. So pair up. And Jenna, you're going to be last because you are our control subject. Sound okay? Let's head back to the gym. Let's talk about the results. What do you guys see?
There definitely is an increase in all categories.
Yeah, Jenna's is the only one that didn't increase, which makes sense because he didn't exercise.
Yes, all those functions did increase. But did you also know that there's more blood flow and more oxygen that gets to your brain when you exercise?
Does that mean your brain functions better when you exercise?
Well, Micah, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But I've got some friends who are experts on the brain and exercise, and we can go talk to them. In fact, I think a trip to Seattle Children's is in order. Who wants to go?
Sounds fun. I'll go.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, and the rest of us will go see a friend of mine who's another expert on the brain. Hey, who wants to play a game of horse?
I do.
Let's go.
What percentage of the body's blood flows through the brain? 50%? 20%? Or 40%? Stay tuned after the break to find out the answer.
BrainWorks is made possible with generous support provided by the Dean Witter Foundation, working to expand innovative K-12 public education initiatives. More at deanwitterfoundation.org.
With additional program support provided by the Dana Foundation, your gateway to responsible information about the brain. More at dana.org.
What percentage of the body's blood flows through the brain? 50%? 20%? Or 40%? The answer is 20%.
We tested how exercise affected our blood pressure and breathing rate.
Yeah, exercise increased both of those things for me.
We wanted to see how it affected our brain, so we came to the Seattle Children's Research Institute to discuss with a researcher on the topic.
Dr. Tandon, can you tell us about your research?
Sure, I'd love to. Let's come over here and talk some more. So I'm a pediatrician and a researcher, and part of my job is to take care of kids who are sick. But another very important part of my job is to make sure that they stay healthy. And one of the things that kids can do to stay healthy is exercise, be active, move their bodies. And that's important for things like their heart and their muscles and their bones. But there's a lot of research now that shows that when you move, when you exercise, it actually helps your brain.
So how do you test those things?
I work with younger kids, much younger than you, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds who go to preschools. And we want to see, are they able to focus better? Can they learn better after they've been running around, being active for 15 minutes, compared to when they've been sitting and doing things that preschoolers might do, like color or play with blocks or play with toys? So somebody from my team might run around with them outside and do the kinds of active things that 3, 4, and 5-year-olds like to do. And then we bring them inside and we do some little games with them.
What kind of games?
Yeah, let me show you. So these are 2 examples. We do about 5 different games with them, and we call them games because that's what they can really understand, and they are kind of fun. But these are really meant to test how much they can pay attention and follow directions, which is one of the benefits that we think physical activity has. This one is called Monkey Dragon, and we have 2 puppets, and they'd be sitting down like kind of how we're sitting here, and then we give them the instructions. So we'll say something like, so this is a good monkey, and when this monkey tells you what to do, you do it. This is a grumpy dragon, and when this dragon tells you what to do, you don't do it. And we kind of, animate our voices so they're really engaged, and we tell them to do we ask them to do simple things. Like we might say, touch your nose. And so when the monkey says it, they're supposed to touch their nose. And then we might say, stick out your tongue. And some kids might stick out their tongue because that's what we asked them to do, but if they were really thinking and if they were really paying attention, they would remember that when the grumpy dragon tells you to do something, you don't do it. And then 2 weeks later or a week or 2 later, we might go back to their preschool, and after having them do something like coloring or playing while sitting down, we do the same tests.
So why do you do these tests when they're so young?
There's actually already lots of research in kids that are in elementary school or your age or high school, and even adults, that when you exercise, you can pay attention better, you learn better, you get better grades and better test scores. So I was really interested in seeing if those same relationships, if that benefit still existed in the younger kids, partly because when kids are that young, you can still really encourage them to learn healthy behaviors and shape their health from a young age, so it can last a lifetime.
Wow, I'm glad I started gymnastics so young.
I wish I had. I wish I started the sport younger.
That's okay. It's never too late to start. Well, I hope you learned something today about why exercise is so important for our brain.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tandon.
We're going to do an experiment to see how exercise affects memory.
We're going to do a memory test to see if our scores go up with exercise.
We'll have 1 minute to memorize 20 items.
Then some of us are going to do exercise, and some of us will read a book.
We'll look at the items again after and memorize and see what happens to our results.
Okay, you'll have 1 minute to memorize 20 items. Okay? Here we go. Ready? On your mark, get set, memorize. And stop. Okay, now you'll have 3 minutes to remember everything that you just saw. Take one of these clipboards. And go. And stop. Now I want Pearl, Micah, and Jenna, I want you to jump rope for 2 minutes. And Ben and Jaden, I want you to just read those books over there for 2 minutes, okay? I'll meet you back here later.
Stay tuned. Later in the show, we'll see how our memory test turns out. How much blood flows through the brain every minute? 4 liters, 2 liters, or 1 liter? Stay tuned after the break to find out the answer.
BrainWorks is made possible with generous support provided by the Dean Witter Foundation, working to expand innovative K-12 public education initiatives. More at deanwitterfoundation.org.
With additional program support provided by the Dana Foundation, your gateway to responsible information about the brain. More at dana.org.
How much blood flows through the brain every minute? 4 liters, 2 liters, or 1 liter? The answer is 1 liter.
Come on over, everybody. Time to memorize again. Now you have 20 different objects, and you'll have 1 more minute to memorize as many objects as you can. These are different than before. Ready to memorize? Go.
Hey!
And done. Now write down as many of those items as you can remember. And done. How do you think you all did?
I think I did about the same.
Yeah, me too.
I may have done better, but I definitely was tired when I was writing.
Well, let's take a look. Everyone score someone else to see how many they remembered before and after exercising or reading. Okay, let's start with the readers. Who's got Jaden's results?
I do. She got 16 correct the first time and 17 correct afterwards.
And Ben's?
I do. He got 17 the first time and 17 the second time.
So what does that tell you about reading?
It seems like generally we got about the same after reading. Not much changed.
Yeah, not much did change after reading. Now, how about the exercisers?
I have Micah. He got 19 correct the first time and 19 correct the second time.
I have Jenna's results. She got 14 the first time and 17 the second time.
I have Pearl's results. She got 18 the second time and 15 the first time.
So what does that say about exercise?
It seems that in general, their memories got better with exercise.
Wait, so if I run before every test, I'll do better?
Well, not quite. Exercise is good for your body and it is good for your brain. You need to exercise for good brain health. We've done some experiments to see how exercise affects the brain.
We saw how our bodies reacted to exercise and how that increased in function.
And we saw how our memories may have been affected by exercise.
So we wanted to talk to an actual doctor who can tell us what exercise actually does inside the brain. Let's find out.
Exercise is hard work, but is it really good for my brain?
Yes, exercise is very good for your brain. Moderate aerobic activity has the ability to change a cognitive gadget we call executive function.
What is executive function? It sounds like something an office worker or a business person should do.
Executive function has 2 gadgets in it, cognitive control and the other emotional regulation. People who are really good with executive function, oddly enough, are often really good at math, you guys. And the reason why is that they're not freaked out when they see a problem they can't understand because they have really good impulse control. And with cognitive control, they can focus, defocus, and refocus again. So, is executive function a good thing to have? You darn right. Executive function is an extraordinary cognitive gadget to aid and abet.
Sounds like executive functions are important.
You know, it's really important. And in the United States, when we don't do very well at science and math, being able to have strong executive function is a big deal. And the reason why we're talking about it is that there's an easy way to boost it. The easy way to boost it is to engage in moderate aerobic activity. Do you know what I mean by moderate aerobic activity? You know what you actually have to do? You actually have to walk too fast to sing. And you have to do it 150 minutes in a 7-day period. So for 7 days with 150 minutes, so 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week would do it, of just walking too fast to sing is both necessary and sufficient to be able to boost executive function 20%, 30%. I've seen studies that go up to 50 and 80%. So if you really wanted to do really good at math and science, the last thing in the world you would ever get rid of is PE. In fact, it would be the first thing you would do in order to aid and abet your executive function.
What does exercise do to executive function?
We think angiogenesis, the ability to create blood vessels, is one of the reasons why exercise works. That's the first reason. Okay, here's the second. The second reason, or at least a phenomenon that you can show, is something we call neurogenesis. Exercise has been shown to increase neurogenesis in those very areas of the brain that are also going to get a lot more goodies with the blood vessels. So this hippocampus is really getting a lot of workout from your workout, which is a great way to say it. And that's the second reason. The third one of my favorite molecules in all of neuroland is called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor is like Miracle-Gro, which is a kind of a fertilizer you can get at a nursery for the neural cells in your brain, and certainly in the dish. You dump a bunch of BDNF in certain experiments in certain dishes, and the neurons are just loving it, and they're growing, and they're connecting, and they're doing all kinds of things. We now know that aerobic exercise, moderate aerobic exercise, boosts BDNF gene expression. So we think these three things, neurogenesis, angiogenesis, and BDNF expression, are the reasons why aerobic exercise boosts brain power.
That really clears things up for us. Thank you very much for stopping by, Dr. Medina.
Oh, my pleasure.
Where are new neurons formed after exercise? The thalamus, the hippocampus, or the occipital lobe? Stay tuned after the break to find out the answer.
BrainWorks is made possible with generous support provided by the Dean Witter Foundation, working to expand innovative K-12 public education initiatives. More at deanwitterfoundation.org.
With additional program support provided by the Dana Foundation, your gateway to responsible information about the brain. More at dana.org.
Where are new neurons formed after exercise? The thalamus, the hippocampus, or the occipital lobe? The answer is the hippocampus.
Hey, Ben. Hey, Paul.
Hey.
How'd it go with Dr. Tandon?
It was great. We learned a lot about the research.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Well, now that you guys are back, let's welcome our guest, Nancy. Come on over, Nancy.
Hey, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thanks for having me here.
We just learned that working out helps the brain function better. What experiences do you have?
As a child, it seemed I was always active because my parents were active and I lived on a lake. I grew up on a lake, and so I spent a lot of time swimming and just running around up and down the hill to my house. And then as I got older, I enjoyed swimming on swim team and then bicycling, and then I did a little bit of bike racing.
So we learned that exercising helps increase blood flow to the brain, make neurons, and a fancy protein called BDNF. So how do you think staying active has helped you over the years?
Well, I do know that when I miss a day of exercise, I just don't quite feel as well. And when I do exercise, I come back and I feel great. I feel that I have lots of energy, that I can do all the things I set out to do during the day. I feel more organized and just have the energy to start and finish the day.
What's your favorite way to exercise?
It used to be bicycling, but that takes a little more time now. So now I really enjoy jogging, and I especially enjoy jogging with my husband and our two dogs, And it benefits my husband because he's got Parkinson's. And when he does this kind of exercise, either bicycling or running, it helps alleviate the symptoms of Parkinson's.
And there's good research to suggest that exercise is great for people with Parkinson's disease. It increases flexibility, it increases muscle strength, and it also releases some of those brain chemicals like Micah mentioned, that BDNF. So exercise is good for people without Parkinson's disease and is really good for people with Parkinson's disease.
A lot of Parkinson's people have trouble with balance, but when you get consistent, good exercise like that, you just don't have that problem. And that's another thing for me, too, is as you get older, you really need to hang on to your balance because you need to prevent falls and that sort of thing. But I find that getting exercise every single day just helps me with that.
Well, thank you for joining us and sharing your experiences.
Well, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And it's a great day outside. Hey, let's go outside and throw the Frisbee around, okay? Let's go.
Yeah, fun.
BrainWorks!
Thanks for joining us here at BrainWorks.
We've seen a lot today on how exercise affects the brain and the body.
Not only will exercise get you into top physical shape, it can also do wonders for your mental shape.
Of course, you should always check with your doctor before you start an exercise program.
But it's never too early or late to start, so get yourself moving.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on BrainWorks.